You're live now, Chair.
Okay, thank you all, and good afternoon from myself. Very warm welcome to the Schools Forum. Now, I don't know whether I can still wish people a happy new year, being the 19th of January, but I'm going to anyway, and that will be I think we're definitely into January now, so no more of that. So I hope you all had a really good break over the Christmas period. I particularly hope you and your families are well and free from infection and virus, and welcome to 2022, and here's hope. It brings more freedom and all the rest of it. My name's David Jeeps, and I'll be chairing today's meeting. And before I go much further, I would like to publicly thank Dave Jones, who I understand did a sterling job. I've missed a few meetings and made myself redundant by the sounds of things. But I know, I'm not sure if he's with us, but he did a sterling job chairing previous forums meetings. So thank you very much, Dave. Very much appreciated. Please be aware that members of the public are invited to view this meeting online, and the meeting is recorded. Therefore, forum members are requested to keep your microphones on mute and only turn these on when you are called to speak. If you have any questions or comments to make on the reports, please using the chat function, type in RTS, request to speak. Right, what I'm going to do now is just do a quick roll call, as it were, because I'm not sure everyone's names appear. So we have Jackie Collins. I've seen Dave Jones. I don't think is here, is he? I'm here, obviously. Cher, I've definitely seen.
Yes, I'm here.
Jason Crouch, I know, sent an apologies. Joe Cooper. Not here yet. Laura, we've seen. Good afternoon, Laura. Anne Chapman. No. Victoria Page. Sean Preston. Gosh. Nathan Waits. Oh dear. Right. Liz Hardingham. Chris Purnell. Right, I've seen Caroline Corcoran. So good afternoon, Caroline.
Hi.
Hello. Sharon Burt. Susie. Good afternoon, Susie. Councillor Claire Udy. No. Councillor Judith Smythe. Councillor Lynn Stagg. No. Councillor Terry Norton, I've seen. So good afternoon, Terry. Mike Gaston is here. Yes. Good afternoon, Mike. And Cara Jewell. Okay. And so just, Jane, can you keep an eye on participants? I've just noticed Nathan.
Yes, Nathan's just arrived.
Yeah, evening, everyone.
Good afternoon. Anyone else? I think that. And a very good.
I don't think there's anyone else.
From Cher, are we quorate?
No, we're not. We need one more member to join before we quorate. So hopefully somebody else will be joining us shortly.
Can I suggest, rather than anxiously wait for someone to arrive, should we work through as many of these items as we can without any need to vote? Are people with that? And get on with it. Is that okay, Jane?
I'll refer to Alison on that question, if that's okay.
Yeah.
No, that's fine as far as I'm concerned. The key report that we need to vote on is the one to do with the school funding arrangements for 22-23, so we could put that towards the end of the meeting.
Yeah, or I'll speak quite slowly and make sure I give people plenty. No, joking. We'll give people time. Hopefully someone will arrive by then. Okay, so apologies for absence. So Alison, I'm aware of 2, Jason and Mike. Any others?
And we've also had apologies from Dave Jones.
Oh yes, Dave Jones, yes. Any others? No. Okay. Declarations of pecuniary interest. So Alison, I understand you've got a number of those outstanding.
Yes, I'm missing 3 from Victoria Page, Anne Chapman and Chris Purnell. I'd also like to thank those forum members that provided an updated declaration of interest following the exercise I did at the end of last calendar year. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Okay, membership changes. Well, please do not read anything into this, but I will be stepping down from the forum. I'm not ill, I've not had any personal crises or anything, but I've done 10 years on the forum, and it's been absolutely fascinating. I've really enjoyed it, in being sort of very fascinated by school finances and all the rest of it, and I've learned an incredible amount. But 10 years is a good stint, and so time to let someone else lead the forum. I will be looking for other projects in the city. Hint, hint, Susie. So I'm just having a look around to see what else might be out there. But I'd just like to thank the officers over those last 10 years, Alison, Angela, and all the Richard and all the previous folk who have answered, my Bev Pennicott, who answered all my stupid questions over the last 10 years, for your patience, your hard work. I'm very, very grateful. So like I say, please don't read anything more into it. It's just, I've done my time. Alison, do you want to update on other changes?
Okay, so thank you, David, for introducing that section. I'd also like to thank you on behalf of the officers for the work that you've put in and the support that you've given us through this period. So it's been 10 years, which is quite a considerable amount of time on the forum. I'm pleased to announce that we have already spoken to Simon Graham as the only other maintained secondary head we have in the city, and he's agreed to take the place as secondary maintained school representative after the February meeting, which will be David's last meeting. Since the last time we met, we've had one individual leave. So Simon Barrable from Portsmouth College has retired, and he therefore is no longer the post-16 representative. Mike Gaston is attending in his place whilst we sort out a permanent replacement just in case. We've got no new members since the last time we've met. However, we do have 3 tenures that are due to cease after the February meeting. That's Jackie Collins, Jason Crouch and Nis Hardingham. I have spoken to all 3 members, and they have indicated that they're happy to continue, and I've written to all representative groups saying that that's the case, and I'm just waiting for responses to come through to confirm them. We do have one vacancy, and that again is our secondary academy representative vacancy that we're struggling to fill. And again, I have written to all members and asked if another volunteer on there. So that's it from the membership update.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you, Alison. Okay, we move on to the minutes of the previous meeting. We need to ensure this is a correct record of the meeting held on the 6th of October. I'll just give you a moment just to walk through the minutes. So agenda, so we're on page 5 of the papers. Hopefully that's all correct. Page 6, page 7, and page 8. Are members happy? I wasn't here, so are members happy with these as a correct record of the meeting? If not, RTS in chat. Okay, thank you all, and welcome to Councillor Smythe. And that's it, I think. Okay, right, we progress on to agenda item 5. Now, can we start this with, are we quorate yet, Alison? I fear not.
I believe with Councillor Smythe joining us, we are now quorate as long as nobody else drops out.
Hurrah, right, no one can move. Lock yourself in wherever you are. So let's crack on. So Angela, you're going to take us through the paper, and then we've got to vote on some recommendations, some endorsements. And it's rather complicated, so we'll take that one quite slowly. So Angela, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, David. So this report follows the previous school forum reports, which outlined the approach to setting the school's budgets. Both primary and secondary schools will be funded using the national funding formula rates for 22-23. The values published by the DfE have also been increased in line with the Portsmouth area cost adjustment. The minimum per pupil funding levels have been used as shown in table 3, and because of this, 7 schools have received additional funding through this mechanism. In addition to that, the minimum funding guarantee has been applied of 2% compared to 21-22 funding. And the report notes the changes to the way the national non-domestic rates are paid, but that it won't affect the actual funding that schools get. The lump sum minimum in the national funding formula for 22-23 is 123,000. But due to the additional growth fund funding that we've received this year that we wasn't anticipating, we are able to add that into the school's formula, and we propose that the actual lump sum is increased to 137,000, and that increase will be one-off for 22-23, and next year it will be dependent again on what the amounts are that we get, whether there's surplus or not.
Angela, I'd hate to interrupt you, but from where I'm sat, you're breaking up badly, Angela. Sorry, Angela.
Sorry. Oh, again.
I'm not sure if it's just me or
Can
others.
Is it just me? Is it?
You were breaking up, Angela. Would you like me to try take over?
Let me take my camera off and see whether you can hear me better. David, could you hear any of it? Hopefully everybody's read the report.
We've read the report. I heard up to where you were talking about the increase in the lump sum, and then it all went a little bit.
Okay then. So in terms of we've increased the lump sum because there was additional funding that we had in the formula for the growth fund, which we've detailed in 5.19. Our calculations still show what funding we thought we needed, and so we had additional funding. We've released what we did get into the formula. In terms of the central schools block, we saw an increase of 10.9%, and that includes passporting pay and pension grants for centrally employed teachers. And so it gave us an increase of about 56,000 in total to distribute elsewhere, because we also had to pay for licensing costs. And section 6 details the use of the £1 million. For early years, the funding per hour has increased for the funding to Portsmouth City Council, but we are expecting a reduced number of hours compared to 21-22, and the consultation for that additional funding has closed, and the details will be in the next report to Schools Forum. And the high needs budget's increased by £3 million, and we're still working on the details of this, and that'll be coming back to next month's School Forum. But section 8 details some of the things that we will be taking into account for those budgets. And the report also details information on the supplementary grant that we need to distribute. And for the high needs supplementary grant, we're still looking at how we have to distribute that, because it's not clear in terms of the guidance that we've received at the moment. So we're still working our way through that, and hopefully next month's report will detail that. So that's a summary of the report. I don't know whether there's any questions in relation to the report that anybody wants to ask.
So if you want to ask a question or comment, please RTS in the chat. I'll kick off. You know, those of us who've been on the forum for a while will know that the lump sum over time we've tried to reduce for reasons which we've covered many times. But it does seem entirely sensible this time to put the increase into the lump sum for the reasons outlined in the paper. So I think that would have been my only concern, but it does make sense to me why you're doing what you're doing on that one. So that was my only observation personally. Welcome, Niz Hardingham's joining us, so welcome, Niz. Any questions, folks? Any comments? Don't be shy.
Nathan, you got a question?
Yeah, I just want clarification really. So obviously the age-weighted pupil units, etc. I'm trying to refer which table they are in, table 3. So is that before the supplementary funding, and therefore the supplementary funding referred to in section 9, would that be on top of those rates referred to in table 3?
Yes.
But again, I think we're perhaps all in the same position as you said yourselves, that lack of clarity and guidance from the government at this stage. Is that correct?
That they have. I think they haven't totally said what the supplementary grant's going to be covered for, but in terms of mainstream schools, we do know how it's going to be distributed. But for the high needs, we're not sure. Alison, did you want to add anything to that?
I was just going to say, for the mainstream schools, we have got a guide as to how it's going to be distributed, and we have drafted a table which we will be circulating to schools shortly, which will give them at least an indicative amount, but we're not too clear as to how the DFE will deal with things like roundings, etc. So we'll be able to, but we'll circulate the mainstream things. We're still waiting for guidance on the high needs.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Nathan. Any other questions, comments, points of clarification? Just pop RTS into the chat. Okay, well, if everyone's happy with that, then we will move to the next stage, which is around how we vote on this. So as I said earlier, it's rather complicated. And so first of all, it is recommended that school members of Schools Forum endorse the proposed changes to the mainstream schools revenue funding arrangements as set out in section 5, and also endorse the school revenue funding pro forma in Appendix 4 for submission to the ESFA on the 21st of January of this year. So, could a school member propose for approval, please? The school member. Thank you, Chair. And a seconder, please.
I think Nis has got a hand up.
Okay, I've got, oh, I'm spot for choice here. I've got Jackie got in just ahead. So Jackie, the prize goes to you. Thank you, Jackie. So the recommendation has been proposed and seconded. I'll now take the vote by affirmation of the meeting as permitted within the regulations. If there is no dissent, the proposal is passed. Are there any objectors to this recommendation? So if you do object and you are a school member, please put RTS into the chat now. Right, thank you. That recommendation has been approved. Brilliant. Stick with me, folks. Okay, it is now recommended that maintained schools, and quite a select bunch we are these days, maintained schools, members of Schools Forum endorse the use of the carry forward on the school specific contingency for the same purpose in 2022-2023. Do I have a proposer for approval of the recommendation? So this is maintained school members only. Right, that's Jackie, I think. Yeah, Jackie, thank you again. And a seconder. And share. Ah, very good, thank you. The recommendation has been proposed and seconded. I will now take the vote by affirmation of the meeting as permitted within the regulations. If there is no dissent, the proposal is passed. Are there any objectors to this recommendation? So if you do object, please use RTS in the chat. Thank you. The recommendation has been approved. Right, next, and this is to everyone. So thank you to everyone for your patience while we work through those ones. We've got, we can do the next four all together. So we're going to endorse two and then approve two, unless you want me to do it separately. If you want me to do them separately, put RTS in the chat, please. Okay, so it is recommended that Schools Forum endorse the budget to be held centrally for the payment of central licences negotiated nationally for all schools by the Secretary of State. Endorse the use of the 21-22 underspend on the Growth Fund for the use for the same purpose as in 22-23. Approve the Growth Fund, the budget set out in Appendix 1 and also the criteria as set out in Appendices 3. And finally, approve the budgets to be held centrally, specifically the Schools Forum, admissions and duties retained by the local authority for all schools. Do I have a proposer for the approval of the recommendations? Do RTS do say so in chat, please? Someone to propose? Could be anyone, any member of Forum. Right, here we go. So we've got Share proposing. Well, just to break it up a bit, Caroline Cochrane we've got proposing, and a seconder. Niz, are you happy to second? Niz Hardingham? Yes, thank you, Niz and Caroline. Okay, so the recommendations have been proposed and seconded. I will now take the vote by affirmation of the meeting as permitted within the regulations. If there is no dissent and the proposal is passed. Are there any objectors? If you wish to object, please type RTS in the chat. Okay, thank you. The recommendation has been approved. Okay, moving on. We're now on to agenda item 6, dedicated schools grant for 21-22, the Q2 budget monitoring report. And I think, Alison, you're going to lead us through this one.
Yes, that's right. So,
okay.
So this is the regular report that updates Schools Forum on the forecast outturn position based on the expenditure for the second quarter of the 2021-22 financial year. Overall, the budget is forecast to underspend by 863,000, and this relates to the funding for pupils with education, health and care plans in mainstream schools, special schools and outer city placements, the reasons for which are detailed in the report. It should be noted that, as in previous years, these forecasts are likely to change as the class lists for the new academic year are not received until October half term, which is after the end of the second quarter reporting period. As previously reported, the Department of Education has changed the timing of the adjustments for the early years block for 21-22 due to the national lockdowns. Following the completion of this report, the authority has submitted pupil data for the autumn term 21 and expects the early years funding to be reduced in February 22. In light of this, the early years budgets have been forecast on budget, and following the receipt of the updated allocations, the budgets will be adjusted and the forecast position reported. It should be noted that there is no change to the funding that will be received by early years settings or the hourly rates that's paid. It's just purely the funding received by the local authority. Schools Forum is asked to note the forecast year-end position for the Dedicated Schools Grant as at 30th of September 21, together with the associated explanations contained within the report, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Okay, so if you do have a question, comment, point of clarification, please RTS in the chat. Don't be shy. Right, okay. If there are no questions, I don't want to hurry people, but if there's no questions, then we will move on to the voting. So this is a recommendation, and we are asked to note the forecast year-end budget position for the DSG as at 30th of September 21, together with the associated explanations contained within the report that Alison has just presented. Okay, again, this is to anyone. Do I have a proposer for the approval of the recommendation? Oh, thank you, Laura. And a seconder? Is that Councillor Smythe? Brilliant, thank you. The recommendation, thank you. The recommendation has been proposed and seconded. I will now take the vote by affirmation of the meeting as permitted within the regulations. If there is no dissent, the proposal is passed. Are there any objectors to this recommendation? If you do wish to object, please RTS in the chat. Right, thank you. That recommendation has been approved. My gosh, this is a ruthlessly efficient meeting. So I think we are now at the end of our agenda, Alison. Just remains for me to remind folk that our next meeting is on the 9th of February, I believe. And that's virtual, Alison, is that right?
Yes, I'm planning a virtual meeting, that one.
Yeah, I do appreciate that the Prime Minister and the Health Secretary of State for Health may have made some announcements today, but I think sensible to carry on as is for the moment. Although I know we all value the opportunity to network around a cup of tea and a biscuit, but anyway, it will be virtual. So, right, well, it just falls on me to thank you all. I do hope everything's going well for you. Thank you for your attendance tonight and for your participation, and thank you to the officers. Goodbye.
I'll just turn off the live stream 1 second.
Thank you.